It's like, the Gilmore Girls. You ever seen that show? Well, my mom and I used to watch it a lot when I was little. And I always thought that the reason we watched it was because she had me when she was a teenager, like the mom in the show. And I liked it because I enjoyed skipping through all the romance arcs, which I barely remember. Like, I must have watched it hundreds of times, but now I'm rewatching it as an adult, and I'm realizing there are all these, like, really eerie similarities between myself and how the characters think and behave and the sorts of choices they make. Stuff that I definitely wouldn't have recognized in myself at the time because I hadn't had those experiences yet. Stuff that never even registered in my brain as part of the show, like the way the characters talk or the references they make. But they're there, constantly starting and abandoning projects, jumping from tangent to tangent because my brain will not shut up about movies. My extreme and debilitating caffeine addiction. Always being late to things and everything snowballing into an even worse version of the day because I also forgot to do the laundry and then my entire plan was ruined. Starting multiple kitchen fires because I got distracted to the point that people in my life just anticipate and plan for it. I swear, it will make sense in a minute. Maybe. Probably. Anyways, then I start thinking, oh my god. Maybe even though I didn't understand any of the interpersonal stuff at the time, it's still, like, buried deep inside my brain, and even after the show completely exited my memory, it was still there the whole time, reshaping how I see literally everything in the world. Like a little brain parasite. And maybe everything likable or interesting about me is just something I learned watching the show. I'm serious. It could totally be that. Maybe I've been, like, subconsciously using it as a template to construct my entire personality. The jokes I like, the absolutely chaotic way I manage my life, the types of people I've dated. I swear, okay, my weird attraction to bad boys who wear leather jackets and read could not have come from anywhere but that one show, because it's literally not a stereotype. Okay, I even went from hyper-responsible middle schooler to burnout college student, and people complain all the time that I insist on doing everything on my own. Even if it's really stupid, like refusing a loan for something important. And the whole time, there I am, stupidly believing it was all my own idea. You know, logical, sound choices based on the situation at hand, I said to myself, probably with a mustache. But the whole time, I was just cosplaying storylines from the Gilmore Girls without even realizing that's what I was doing. I know it's crazy on like a purely logical, pathological level, but it's still weird how much my brain kind of believes it. So like my writing, right? I've been plugging random things into ChatGPT on and off for weeks. Fresh chats, completely different projects, different installations. Dream journals, journal entries, scripts, poems, just like everything. And almost every time it tells me that the topics I like to explore align very closely with existentialist or absurdist themes and ideas. And then it'll specifically mention people like Sartre or Kafka or Vonnegut or Duchamp. Which, at first, I was like, cool, I've vaguely heard of those guys, and I remember them sounding cool. But then it started getting weird. After a lot of this, I said to myself, maybe I should look these people up, get ideas for my stuff, or, I don't know, find something new to read. And I realized, somehow, I've been plagiarizing these people my entire life. Yeah, as, like, narcissistic as it sounds, I thought maybe I had thought of something new and interesting, or at least cool to talk about. But it's all just stuff some guy from Russia wrote entire books on already. Stuff people dedicated whole fields of study and schools of thought to, and I could never articulate it half as well as they do. Which, you know, like, maybe. That's just because people who are interested in the same things get similar ideas sometimes. That could happen. But then I look into it even more, and I realize I have seen Duchamp's stuff, like that the urinal thing where it says, "Is this art?" on it. I read a book on performance art in high school that like very briefly mentioned it, and I even created the logo version of it for a web project that I don't even remember doing. And I mean, I watched a version of No Exit and a few lectures on that specifically, but that can't possibly be enough to create an entire worldview around, especially when I developed a lot of the fundamentals of how I think about things before I would have ever come into contact with any of it. It's not like I think I'm a philosopher. It's like, why would I come to think that way all by myself when it's something people go to school to learn about and study, and they think for years and they write books on, and it's something that they needed to be exposed to. And somehow I like stole stuff without even knowing I did it. I know it's silly. I know I didn't really steal anything. It's just, it's a way more complicated framework than I could have constructed that I'm only just learning about, and it's probably just a weird coincidence, but still, there's a little part of me that's like, what if I saw that art project when I was a kid, or I heard something that happened to be inspired by Sartre, and I didn't even know it, and even though I never directly engaged with any of it on a conscious level, just being exposed to it somehow allowed all the ideas attached to it to burrow into my brain. Yeah, like osmosis. And then, even if it's not true, and my entire identity isn't based off of a TV show from the 2000s, then that means the fact that there were already people that went through the exact same process in drastically different time periods to eventually develop the exact same worldview that I have, well, that means I'm even less unique than that. It means there are like only certain kinds of thinkers you can become, and I just happen to be that one. So I'm just a copy of a copy of a guy that keeps popping up every 500 people or so. But I think I came to that decision all on my own, and that the things I think or say matter. But it's all already been done by about a bajillion people I've never heard of, who all came to nothing, and I'm just a parasite personality, believing that anything I've ever experienced or learned mattered when I was always just going to be the way that I am. And all the explanations for why I am the way that I am are just bullshit, because the only real answer is that I'm some kind of stock NPC personality that's been tricked by my own traitor brain into thinking I'm a real person instead of a copy-paste of a quirky manic pixie dream girl. Because there's this weird knowledge parasite that's wormed its way into my brain and has secretly been controlling everything I do and everything I'm ever going to do, and maybe that's just how everybody works. Or maybe it's just me. You wanna know the worst part? Sometimes I think, okay, maybe I don't even like the Gilmore Girls. Like, maybe the show is actually just terribly boring. But my brain already knew I was going to turn out this way. So it sat me down in front of the TV and said, there you go. That's your life. So you better study up because there's going to be a quiz for later. So, yeah, those are my brain thoughts that I've now shared with you. Next week, I'll be sure to bring my Pepe Sylvia crime board so we can compare even more notes about why my brain sucks. Ugh. So, yeah, I don't know. What's new with you? Because I don't know. Maybe I just need to get out more or something. Because I think overthink things too much a lot of the time.